right. 2 weeks ago, just slightly over 2 weeks ago, the first results trickled through in New Zealand for local government elections, and they, in many cases, heralded quite dramatic reversals for the incumbents. In fact, I think I read somewhere just recently that 9 of the 10 mayors who had introduced the highest rates increases in the previous 12 months lost their seats. And of course, the most prominent of that was the former mayor of Selwyn, then chair of Local Government New Zealand, who was sort of emblematic of the changing of the guard. And a whole lot of people very upset about the rates in particular, voting for new local government leadership. Um, well, um, it's tomorrow. Our next guest will be sworn in as just a regional councillor in Otago. Uh, One might argue it's sort of Daniel into the lion's den, really, because regional councils are facing an existential threat potentially from this government as to whether or not they'll continue to exist in the future. But this hasn't stopped Hilary Calvert, former ACT MP, former city councillor, former regional councillor, re-entering the fray, and she joins us now. Hilary, welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on, and congratulations.
Thank you. I
Why
was,
did you re-enter the
I
fray,
couldn't,
can I just
yeah.
ask? I mean, there you are, you're having a nice, peaceful life with your husband, you've retired, I think, to your second home in Oturihua, surrounded by snow, I wouldn't have imagined yesterday. And now you've re-entered the fray at a time when they're going to get rid of regional councils. Have you got a death wish?
Yeah, sometimes I think that. But actually, the reason I got back in amongst it was because the regional councils, you can understand why Shane Jones in particular wants to get rid of them. They appear to totally have lost their way and to be not responsive to the community much at all. And you can do it differently. And I know enough, having been on the regional council and a territorial authority, that you don't have to do it the way it's been being done of recent times.
Um, okay, so can I ask the next question? You've been elected to the Otago Regional Council, and congratulations, just so that you don't know, Hilary was the top polling councillor for the Dunedin ward. In fact, you were top polling by quite a bit. Can I ask the obvious question? And I mean, I know it's sort of, you could be egotistical here, and well, you might be, it's your reply. Why were you the top polling councillor by quite a bit in the Dunedin ward, which is in actual fact the Soviet Socialist Republic of Dunedin, and you're not really of that ilk, are you?
Not entirely, no. Uh, it's hard to know why people choose you. They could have, I mean, name recognition is a big thing for people. I've heard of her, however. I write, I have written for the column in the ODT, and I wasn't allowed to during the 3 months before the election in case it influenced people in some fashion, I think. Um, what my children's friends say, and they'd be probably often sort of, for want of a better description, left-leaning, they say, I don't always agree with your mother, but I understand what she's on about. So I think people voted for me because they liked the sense of direction I have as to how councils should serve the interests of their community and not charge any more than they have to achieve that. That's
No,
my
and
guess.
your primary policy, looking at your election material, was I think reduce rates, not hold rates, but reduce rates.
Yes.
Now that's a big task. So as I've got now, you're on a mission to save regional council. Good luck on that one. You know, it's Don Quixote stuff, you might argue. I'd be interested to see who you've got as Poncho. And the second thing is, you are going to reduce rates. How do you reduce rates? Because that would seem to be an insuperable burden or a task for almost all regional and councils in this country. How do you reduce rates?
Well, I think you start by rejecting the idea that people want the services and therefore the rates just have to go up, as if there's no economies to be made, there's no efficiencies of any sort. Every dollar that's being spent by a council is well spent and is directed to the services that the council assumes people want. But that's the evidence I see around me is that's just not true.
So you're
The
saying
connection
that,
between the cost of
yeah,
rates and so-called services, and using the word services, it's used for parking wardens and things too. It's not services like the rest of us would understand services, but the connection between the rates collection and what's provided by the council just isn't as good as it should be.